Good morning, everyone. You know what? I want to talk to you for just a minute if it's okay. I'm going to lay out the cards while I do. I hope your weekend was as good as mine. Mine went pretty well, all things considered. Started off very nicely. I arrived to find Mutant Crawl Classics. My game had arrived. I was not expecting it so soon. But that's a happy thing. And it really kind of put the cherry on top of a rather cruddy day. It was a day, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you. It was a day that'll drive you completely insane if you let it. Thankfully it was over, and as soon as I got home and I saw that box sitting at my front door, well, I forgot all about how cruddy the day was. I pulled it out and had a look. It looked like a really fun game, so I'm hoping that sooner or later I'll be able to run a game of that. What I really wanted to talk to you about, though, was unintended consequences. And we really need to talk about that, because I'm going to show you something. Do you remember the no jab, no job thing? Well, that happened just a few months ago, did it not? I myself kind of fell prey to that. And let me tell you something. Right now, you may be in your travels and you may be experiencing a lot of places being short on staff. And oh, they'll blame anyone else. Everyone else is to blame, don't you know? But the fact of the matter is, now that your services are slowing down, now that you're not getting things as quickly as you could, the question I have for those in favor was, or is rather, do you still think it was a good idea? If you do, that's fine. But what I wanted to point out was that this was destructive to so many lives. Perhaps your intention, if you were in favor of this, was that everybody would do it and everything would continue as normal. You were told very emphatically, as a matter of fact, that would not happen. And now that the actual results have happened, I'm telling you right now, I see a lot of people like super upset that things aren't quite happening as quickly as they'd like them. And to that I say, well, this is what we call unintended consequences. When you begin to do things like that, you don't just affect the lives of others. You affect your own as well. Remember, what you send out will come back. It's the old boomerang effect, and there's no exception to it. When a pendulum swings one way, and it always swings the other. And the further you pull it back, the further this way it's going to swing. The problem is that people have the assumption that, well, if I pull it way, like if I hold it here and I pull it way back here, well, it'll just never swing. But eventually, the only way to keep it there, and let me illustrate. Here I'm using an invisible pendulum, and I don't think it really drives the point across. Let me show you something. When you pull it way, way, way up here, there's only one way to keep it there. You have to keep holding on to it. Once you release it, you notice it will swing. That's it. This little device can teach us so much. Nothing ever changes how the pendulum swings. If it swings one way, it's going to swing the other. That's how it is. So when we talk about unintended consequences, ladies and gentlemen, you know, I always say this, and I know it seems a little tangential, but I assure you it's not. I'm fond of telling you, whatever you give away, you need to give back to yourself. If you deplete yourself, or you put yourself in a position where you're completely spent, you are no good to anyone. If you waste your time, you will not get it back. If you waste your energy, you will not get it back. You will need longer periods of rest. So, I hope that many of you understand that. Because honestly, kind of felt like that needed to be discussed a little bit. We're not pointing fingers at anyone else today. We've got this week to go. We've got work to do. We have things in our lives that we need to take care of. That includes you watching this right now. You need to be aware of that. Now, I don't know why that sort of thought was like weighing so heavily on my mind that I needed to share it. I just know I needed to. That's all. But let's look at the cards. We're going to start with you. You watching this right now. You know, before I reveal this card, I do have to say that I am doing this pretty close to midnight on Sunday night. There's a reason. It's because I have to get up super early. I have to be at work a little earlier than normal. You know? And I absolutely hate stopping this or not doing a video, because I like to be consistent. I know some of you show up. Some of you do. You're watching this right now, you do every day, possibly hoping to get something either for yourself or someone else just for the week. And I despise it when something interrupts my spiritual practice, and that's what this is. But this card, this full moon in Pisces, tells us it's time to balance the spiritual and the practical. I've noticed a lot of people posting, especially on Twitter, in light of recent events, posting things like, well, Jesus didn't have an AR-15. Yeah, that's true. That's very true. But you know what he did have? A show trial, and he was murdered by his own government. So there's that. Personally, I go with Never go even a single step without a weapon at your side. You never know when you'll have need of a spear. And that's from Havamal, stanza 38. To me, there is a balance of that spiritual and practical right there in that quote. For example, that little 6-inch aluminum bar. If someone is unfortunate enough to target me, my choices are to go home, go to jail, go to the hospital, or go to the morgue. Well, hospital and morgue are out of the question. Jail is probably very likely, because apparently this state does not believe in the right to self-defense. And who does that protect? No one. I've made my decision on that matter. And the Havamal was not talking about a Kubaton, but spear's going to be a little conspicuous, don't you think? Though I'd still like to own one and learn how to use it. I think it would be pretty cool. But what we're talking about is, very simply put, whenever it comes to your spirituality, you're going to have to balance that with life outside. It is not always easy. Whatever it is your faith professes, you're going to have to put into practice somehow. And believe me, sometimes it goes against our natural response to certain stimuli. Fact of life. But you're going to have to learn how to balance that out. You're going to have to figure that out. Your current situation, though, meditate and contemplate. Look inward. And here it is, a new moon in Pisces. Why are we getting this emotional energy, that sort of, that water, that emotional flow here? You start with a full moon in Pisces. You start as a full moon in Pisces. But right now you're in that new moon phase. The phase where it's kind of dark, where there's a lot of unknown, there's a lot of variables there. Meditation and contemplation, they really help. If you want to do it as prayer, that's fine. Go ahead. There's nothing wrong with that. Whatever this looks like to you, do that. Because the action that you'll be taking is a new moon in Aries, where it tells you it is time to act. So my question for you is, what is it you've been sitting on right now? What is it you've not been getting around to? Because it is very much time to get off your ass and do it. No one's going to do it for you. But the question is, this action, how will you approach it? And what would be the outcome of it? Full moon in Capricorn. So the end of a tough cycle is approaching. You know, I'm sitting here and I'm looking at this and I'm reminded of a scene in the movie starring Bill Murray called Where the Buffalo Roam, where Murray played Hunter S. Thompson. And of course his fax machine or his mojo wire was going off, and first thing out of this movie, he just screams at it. He just literally just lets loose this unearthly scream at it. Just a, ah! Then he starts screaming, "You'll get words when I have them." And then he rips a page out of a magazine, stuffs it into the thing, and sends that. Then when it goes off again, he shoots the thing. He just straight up shoots it. And then he lights a cigarette and he tells his dog, "Alright, so, get a little more work done on this thing, string a few facts together, this nightmare is over." And that's the part that's the most important. He knew exactly what he had to do. He already knew it. It was right there in his mind. He knew his approach. But he needed to take that action in order to come to the end of that tough cycle. You know what? Why not one more card? Let's just see if we can't get a little bit of clarity on this one. Aha. Now, here we go. Because the thing that ties all of this together is by your action, you will get some powerful change out of that. We all want change, ladies and gentlemen. We all want to change something. And right now in the world, like I started out with, we have something that many of us just can do nothing about. We can't control the actions of others. We can all only control ourselves and our own situations. That's it. That is a hard fact of life, but it's one if you get it. You can begin to change the world around you by changing you. And I've noticed this is kind of a cyclical thing. We have powerful change that we all want change, don't we? We always want bigger and better. But we never seem to want to do this action that will take us through all those tough cycles. The tough cycles are the cycles of upheaval. Ladies and gentlemen, if you really want that change in your life, you will have to affect it. You will have to step out of your comfort zone, and you will have to do it yourself. You will have to begin to take responsibility for the actions you initiate, you take, and you see through. And you will have to do that because they do affect others. So, on this day of the moon, how will you do that? What are you manifesting? What are you putting out there in the world, to the universe? The universe wants to give you everything you desire, but you have to rise to meet it. Simple fact of life. Nothing will change this. Your dreams are spiritual. They are very spiritual. But only your goals have a practical plan. It's with you that it starts. It's with you that it ends. None of this is definite. It's all predicated right here on that. You take out the action. You have no bridge between this meditation and the end of your tough cycle. You're just kind of wishing for it. And I'm going to close this out by saying one phrase from an old Marilyn Manson CD. When all of your wishes are granted, many of your dreams will be destroyed. Kind of a heavy reading for a Monday, I know. But don't you find if you know what to look for, you know exactly where you need to go? If you know what signs that you're looking for on the road, you know exactly what your path will be. And that's all this is, ladies and gentlemen. It's a roadmap. It's a roadmap for you. Roadmap for me too. I'm not an exception to this. Comes out through the cards. It's as much a message to me as it is to you. And I do pretty well to take it. Wouldn't you agree? But anyway, I need to get this out there. And I probably won't have the links until tomorrow morning. Or until this morning, a little bit later. So if you're watching this, do me a favor. Share it with your friends. And you can hashtag Moonology Monday. And if you feel like it, throw big deck energy into that thing too. But anyway, I do love you all. Take care of yourselves and each other. Always do what lights you up. And as always, my friends, family, neighbors, and tribe, shine on. Yeah, boy, that was a heavy reading. Ooh. Need to get a picture of it. Know why I take pictures of this? It's so I remember. I have a really bad habit of, like, not remembering cards, even when it's only like 3 or 4, or in this case 5. The more cards there are, the less I remember, and I just try to hit the main ideas, and I'm like, man, that's not going to fly. And it's all going toward writing the summary. That little summary you see in the description below. There we go. Alright, just going to go ahead and send this over to the computer. The computer screen is up, so I know exactly when it will hit. Let's see. Go, baby, go. There we go. There we are. Should see that pop up on my screen over there at the computer any moment now. There it is. Okay. Hey, when these readings are heavy, that's a pretty important message. It really is. You need to, or actually I should say we should really pay attention. And do that. If nothing else, pay attention. I'm going to be recording the high notes video. I'll probably post it tomorrow morning. Or this morning. I'm so used to saying tomorrow. Like, you know, tomorrow happens when I wake up. And by the way, oops. If you're still sending positive vibes, love, thoughts, and prayers to Witcharoo and her family right now, I really appreciate that. She's kind of going through a rough patch herself. And I'd really like to see her get through that a little sooner rather than later. I don't like seeing anybody go through these kinds of rough patches. It's just not good. There we are. We're just going to lay those there. Alright, we're going to fold this up. No, I just got a little, had a little thought here. How many of you learn from your own mistakes? There's a good question for you. And how many of you learn from the mistakes of others? Let me tell you something. If you can learn from someone else screwing up, saves you a whole lot of trouble. Then you don't have to. Just a thought. Maybe it'll help you. Maybe it'll tie in. Maybe it won't. Who knows? But at the end of the day, what will you do? When you look at your day at the end of it, what is the common thread? Simply put, it's you. If you're watching this in the morning, on your morning, with the sun just coming up, you're having your morning tea or your morning coffee with me or whatever, just remember, whether you think you're going to have a good day or a bad day, whether you think you can't do it or you can do it, you're right. It's all up to you. Decide to have a great day. Decide to watch for the signs and follow them. Get ready for some powerful change. Start with you and watch everything else kind of come around. It's a longer road and you have to have some patience, but it's worth it. Take care. I'll see you tomorrow for Straight Tarot Tuesday. Love you.